guys, Yoongi here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing something either really brave or really stupid, and I'm going to be talking about the different K-pop fandoms that I'm scared of and why. I won't waste too much time before getting into it, but I think it's really important that we go over some of my usual disclaimers, especially for this video, because it's aimed at potentially some people who may watch it, and I'm really not trying to offend anybody. So first up, please note that these are just my own opinions based off my experiences during my time into K-pop. I know for a fact, of course, that these points will not apply to all members of these fandoms, and I'm not trying to tie everybody with the same brush. I'm even in some of these fandoms myself. You may have personally had different experiences within these fandoms if you are in them, which is great, and I'm more than happy for us all to have a big open discussion in the comments. But please try to remain respectful to everybody when doing so, as I'll be trying to also do with this video. And last but not least, and easily most importantly, please note that I'm not intending to send any hate to any artist, individual, or fandom mentioned within this video. I actually really like every artist I'm mentioning in this video, and I'm not trying to direct any negativity towards them. The main purpose of this video is just to share what I'm hoping may be a different insight for people who only ever see themselves and their fandom from the inside, and if they do get to see this, how some things may come across sometimes. I'm really not trying to be hateful or rude or shady, and I'm already concerned about the level of hate this will get from people who may not understand that I'm trying to be honest about some of the effects that these fandoms can actually have on people who are looking at standing the group and the group themselves. I'm really hoping that will come across. Okay, sorry, I could ramble on all day trying to explain what I'm doing before I do it, but let's face it, if people want to yell at me in the comments, I don't think anything I have to say will change their thoughts on that. So without further ado, let's get to the first fandom. These are in no particular order really. First up, we have Blinks. Blackpink fans. Before we get into this one, I do just want to clarify that I am a Blink myself. I have been since debut. I spent a lot of money to go see them when they came to my country, and I am patiently/impatiently always waiting for those yearly comebacks just like everybody else. Hey, my layout on all my social medias is Blackpink. That icon right there is a picture of Jisoo. So it's really crazy to me that I think one of the fandoms I get the most backlash from on my channel right here is in fact Blinks. I'm one of you. I do think I know the reason for that though, and it's because often when I speak about Blackpink, I'm talking about something controversial, like an unpopular opinion about their really irregular comebacks and the quality of the music when we do get them, for example. So yes, it does always feel like I have something bad or controversial to say about them, but because they're such a large group with such strange promotional strategies, everything they do is a hot topic. And that to me as a K-pop YouTuber is my bread and butter, and believe it or not, I am actually on your side regardless of how it sounds. It just seems that very often Blinks immediately have to jump to the defense like it's an attack, when I get you may feel like you have to do so when they usually get attacks coming at you from every angle, but trust me, that is not always the case when people speak on the girls. When I talk about them in any way, it's never clout chasing. It doesn't mean I hate them in the slightest, but I'm entitled to talk about things related to them in a constructive criticizing way, and that is all I really ever try to do. I think if more Blinks were able to handle the constructive criticism without immediately jumping to the defense, it would actually positively benefit both us and the girls. We could actually work towards some more positive changes. But if things carry on the way that they are, this is never going to happen, and we're going to stay in this endless cycle where the girls release a song every year or so, everybody gives it 1 million views every 10 minutes, even though some of us admit we expected more. Blinks spend the rest of the year fighting anybody who speaks ill on Blackpink until YG says they're doing something like a solo or a comeback, and repeat. I know it's not what Blinks want to hear, but at the end of the day, this is usually what happens. The next fandom that we're going to talk about is Choice. Ace fans. You may notice that I rarely, if ever, talk about Ace on my channel, but the thing is, I do actually really like them and their music. But as a K-pop YouTuber, I am genuinely scared to talk about Ace ever, good or bad, because I'm concerned that my words will be completely twisted. I actually think right now may be one of the first times I'm openly talking about them rather than like a song, which is sad because I think they're unbelievably talented. It just feels to me that there have been far too many occasions on social media where I've seen Choice somewhere not sharing cute videos of the boys or asking people to stream. It's usually cancelling somebody for one reason or another. I have seen Choice try to cancel people for spelling errors in names. I've seen Choice try to cancel a large K-pop YouTuber for implying that they were underrated because her words got misconstrued, and the list goes on. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to even say this, so I'll keep it vague, but just trust me, you know I'd never dare lie to you. It's not what I'm about. But yeah, for a short time, I actually worked for a company. They were trying to avoid Ace if possible, successful through no fault of the group or their company, but because they didn't want any trouble with fans. That's our secret, I won't say anymore, but I'm hoping that it'll help drive home the fact that sometimes the negative behaviour of some fans, even though you think it's just on social media, can unfortunately negatively impact the group in the real world. I know you think you're defending them, but it does not always have that desired effect, and I'm afraid more often than not it just backfires. My thoughts on Ace as a group haven't changed. I think they're amazing, but their fans make me feel like whatever I say would probably be taken the wrong way, especially when a lot of the quote-unquote scandals I have seen so far always seem to be things that have just been taken wrong. I hope that makes sense. Speaking of fans with a large social media presence, I think it's a very good time to talk about the next group whose fandom terrifies me a little, and that is Orbit's Luna fans. I won't lie, full disclosure here, and please don't take this too harshly, but I was entirely put off from standing Luna right from the very beginning after seeing how the fandom was going to be on social media. It didn't start well. The Stan Luna era, where fans would just spam every single hashtag or Twitter thread possible, honestly kind of made it unbearable to even think about them for a while. I didn't enjoy any of the Girl of the Month songs because all I could think of was that. It's a shame because I do feel like I never gave the girls a fair chance, and that is not fair on them, but it is really hard to consider standing a group when the fandom feels more focused on carrying on a joke that was never funny to begin with. And then of course you have the recent situation during their US tour. For those who aren't aware, just a quick recap, the girls were recently doing a show in Chicago, and during the segment of the concert where the girls speak to fans, one of their members, Kim Lip, was having a hard time doing so because the fans were screaming over her. They were shouting other members' names and just being straight up rude, really. She really did try to politely ask them to quieten down a few times, but they just didn't and carried on. And in the end, she got quite upset and left the stage, choosing not to come back for the rest of the show or the meet and greet. Now, if they were actual fans of the group who were just really excited to see her and hear her talk, then I do actually believe they'd have done whatever she asked and been quieter when she asked them to, but they didn't. That to me just shows there's some sort of disrespect for the group from their supposed stans amongst some of the fandom, as if the fandom is just always infiltrated by straight up trolls. Even more so because this is not the only stop of their tour where fans have claimed to be surrounded by other audience members who were disrespectful. It just doesn't sit right with me, and both the girls and their genuine supporters deserve so much better than the image that these sorts of stans have created for the fandom. That image unfortunately reflects really negatively on the good fans and will follow the girls as well. The next fandom we're going to go to that I'm a little scared of is 2Moon Wonna's fans. This one is a real shame to even talk about, to be honest, because you know what? I really like most of the music by this group, and I've considered standing them many times. But I really don't know how I would get into the group or the fandom, because a large part of the fandom, I won't lie, feels really unapproachable. There has been a few K-pop festivals this year that Wonnas have either been invited to or attended, and following on from each of the festivals, I've either seen myself from attending or seen on social media K-pop fans talking about the interactions they had with rude 2Moons. And of course not all fans are going to be rude, but it's just not a one-off occurrence either. That's the issue to me. Wonnas, although doing very well, I do personally still feel are very underrated and deserve a lot more love. So I think a lot of this perhaps is why their fans feel like they need to protect them more. They have quite a large social media presence from what I've seen, where they'll do anything they can to try and stream, vote for them on online fan awards or fan chats like the Kville one, etc. And I completely get it. The fans feel like they have a job to do. But aside from that, I really wish there was more of a, I don't know, inviting community vibe to the fandom rather than just like focusing on work and streaming and charts and things. Does that make sense? Where you would feel comfortable approaching fans of the group and saying, hi, I'm interested in getting to know them. Where should I start? It's nobody's quote unquote job where they're obliged to do that per se, but the fandom feels more like it's closed. Like they're at capacity and they don't want people like me or new fans butting in and starting from scratch. There's some fandoms who are so lovely the second you show any signs of interest in their faves, because they know this is how they're going to get them to grow and get more successful and more recognition. It's not just about the streams and the chart votes, it's also about building a community. I know nobody asked, but if I was to perhaps to give any tiny bit of constructive criticism to 2Moons, that is probably what I'd say. The next K-pop fandom we're going to discuss is some ARMY's BTS fans. I have to say some here because I'll be honest, they don't scare me that much at all. Like, I've been here for a while and I've seen a lot of ARMYs come and go. This isn't my first rodeo, but I don't feel like I can make this video and it be fair without mentioning ARMYs. Although a lot of ARMYs I have met in my time have been really lovely and become some of my bestest friends in some cases, some I'm afraid I can't say the same for. And funnily enough, it is always those fans in particular that come to mind when you mention ARMYs. And why is that? It's because because their behavior reflects so badly on us and the boys that you remember that as opposed to all the positive stuff fans can do. And that is what I'm more afraid of, if that makes sense. I think I responded to an opinion in one of my videos way back whenever that was, where somebody said that armies are the most toxic fandom, and I kind of disagreed, purely based on the fact that it's misleading and hard to compare where there aren't many examples of fandoms with a similar size. Armies are probably still one of, if not the biggest K-pop fandoms, and that's why it feels more toxic, because the bigger a fandom is, then the bigger the 1% who ruin it for everybody is. And those are the fans we're talking about here. These are the fans who start wars with other fandoms on Twitter for, I don't know, even saying something similar to one of the boys, or releasing a song near them. These are the types of fans who treat BTS like this great untouchable entity that is just all perfection, and they guard it with their life and will battle anybody with anything to say. These are the fans who told me I need to change my username to something other than Dear Yoongi if I'm going to speak about other groups besides BTS. Yes, that really did happen. It's only a small portion of the fandom, but unfortunately because of the size of us, this small portion can be as large as some smaller fandoms, and it does look really bad. I don't want people to think they have to unstan because the fandom is unbearable. I know it's easy to say, oh, don't let a fandom influence your decision to stan a group, but trust me, as you can see from this video, that is much more easily said than done. Depending on who you stan and follow on Twitter, some of these negative fans are the only ones that some fandoms will see, and it's a really unfair, untrue reflection on the rest of us that I really hope doesn't stick. And last but not least, one more K-pop fandom that low-key scares me is MIZE, aespa fans. I'm putting this one last just because this is probably the newest addition to the list that I'm still kind of thinking through, but I don't think I can leave them for a part 2 either, because I'll be honest, after all the hate this video is gonna get, I don't think I'm gonna want to do a part 2. But I think aside from Blinks, it is absolutely MIZE who I get the most grief from on my channel. I really don't usually block or hide anybody from accessing my videos because, you know, freedom of speech, unless it's a super mean, abusive comment, which I'll just report. But there are definitely a few MIZE I can think of who have repeatedly sent me abuse over a few videos, and in the end I've had to just block them from my channel. And the best part is, I can't even remember what I said that angered them so bad. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's sort of an elitism that radiates from some MIZE, and it makes me really uncomfortable, because it feels like no matter what I say about aespa, you're right and I'm wrong. No ifs, no buts. I've seen a lot of fan wars online between Blinks and MIZE, because their groups are getting compared quite often, but I actually think a lot of the comparisons are coming from fans of both of the groups themselves, just starting fights with each other. And look, I completely get it. aespa are a new group, under a big label who have been held to very high standards from day one. They've been getting a lot of feedback with regards to their concept, their music, their choreography, their energy, everything they do basically. But a lot of these things can and do fall under people being entitled to their opinions, offering fair, constructive criticisms. I know that especially here on K-pop YouTube, a lot of YouTubers are trolling and trying so hard to be extra offensive on purpose to get a rise out of fandoms they know will bite. But why do they keep doing it? Because it seems to work every time, that's why. So I get wanting to try and defend the group in circumstances like that, but if somebody is just trying to casually give their opinion, saying they don't like one of their songs or suggesting they focus more on their stamina or whatever, it's not the time to start bringing out death threats to people who say that. This does absolutely nothing for the girls or the fandom and just makes everyone look bad. I really don't know what those sorts of people are trying to achieve with behavior like that. It just makes everyone look kind of immature. As fans, we should be able to tell the difference between constructive criticism and just straight up hate, and I think perhaps some MIZE may need a bit of work on that. I really hope that didn't sound too harsh. Okay guys, and that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far, and I really hope I didn't offend anybody. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Please help me feel normal and like not everybody hates me. If you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell. That'll let you be the first to hear whenever I upload. And as always, my social medias will be on screen. That is my Twitter and my Instagram. I always follow back fellow K-pop fans, so let's be friends. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys!